Alright, so let's talk more about general physical preparedness. So in my last video, I sort of went over what an annual plan would look like with programming, using myself as an example and what I did. And so now we're going to talk more about like the different phases. And so today we're going over GPP, which I think is one of a very extremely useful phase to do. And usually it will last maybe 4 to 6 weeks depending on how long you have. My phase went for over 8 weeks because of just, the conditions of the lockdown. Now, as you can see, I've written down 3 points, and these are what I think are the most important things to work on in a GPP phase. This is the time to really work on your weaknesses, but the general idea of a GPP phase is to really build up this work capacity, to build up how much work you can do, so that when you go into more specific training and strength training, power training, your body has the capability to do the work that it needs to do, and it can recover from that work. So you're trying to build up that base. So, the idea is that general physical preparedness is the bottom of the pyramid. So you can build that base of the pyramid so that when it comes up to specialized stuff, you've built such a big base that you can build really tall when it comes to specialization. So work capacity comes an idea of strength, power, endurance, especially for judo. This is probably one of the most important things, is you want to be able to throw people in the first minute of a match. You also want to be able to throw people into 5 minutes or in the golden score or so on. You want to have that endurance to be able to, produce power. And also, building hypertrophy as well. That's another way to really build up localized work capacity in the muscles. So you want to get, build up those lagging muscle groups. Maybe your quads are weak, maybe your glutes are weak. This is a time to really work on those weaknesses. Ways to do this comes from, sled drag, sled pushes, sled drags, various different, sled exercises are extremely useful for this because they're concentric only, so, it doesn't really damage the muscle. You're able to recover well from it and do a lot of it. Kettlebell exercises, whether it's swings, cleans, snatches, Turkish get-ups, these are all really useful for building endurance. Sandbag training, heavy sandbag training, whether it's sandbag squats, sandbag lifting to your shoulders, just builds full body strength, and you want to get high repetitions with that. Carries, whether it's sandbag carries, again, farmers carries, suitcase carries, again, a high repetition thing to really build up the work capacity in your body. And another thing, bodyweight exercises, which I think are underlooked, pull-ups, push-ups, those are things that can be extremely useful in, building work capacity, because, and also able to really engage the rest of your body in the core. So it's an extremely useful thing to do. Bodyweight lunges and squats. You want to build up, being able to do a really high number of repetitions of these exercises. Or you can, build up, for how long you can do these exercises. Also, implementing long isometrics. How long can you hold yourself up on the top of a pull-up bar? How long can you just hold, a half push-up? Various things, holding half squats, it really helps build work capacity in the muscles. It builds, builds up your muscles' ability to, work through lactic acid, which is extremely important in judo because, as we fight for the match, lactic acid builds up in our body, and, we want to build up our body's ability to work through that. And sort of the way you would program these exercises is you would want to, start off with how much you can do, and you're trying to just build up volume. It's important to increase the weight, but not that important here. You really want to build up how much repetition and how many sets you can do of these things, because that's really, then when you go into a strength phase after, that's where you really want to increase the weight. But here, this is all about increasing the number of repetitions and the number of sets you can do, or for how long you can do these things. And now onto the second point of what a GPP phase is about, is stability, mobility, coordination, which I sort of see mostly as injury prevention, joint integrity. So if you've done a lot of judo, you'll have joints that don't feel like they used to. They're a little rough. So this is what I think is a really good phase, is to really focus on the rehab and the prehab and building up the mobility in your joints so that it can make them feel good again, and strengthen them and prepare them so they're less likely to get injured, and also build up confidence in those in those joints that they won't get injured again, because often a lot of time pain will just come from the fact that we're worried about our joint. You know, if you're very worried about your knee, it's just going to get weaker because you're worried about it. So here's where you really build up confidence in your joints. Doing, prehab exercises, doing low-level plyos, doing, things like jump ropes are good. Just things to absorb, redirect forces. Stuff that's not, super fast, but stuff that prepares your body to be redirecting these forces when you come into judo. Other things like coordination, whether it's cone drills, movement training like animal flow or different animal exercises, preparing your body to move well, teaching your body how to move well, so you're aware, building body awareness. These things really help with injury prevention because, just simply, if you're unaware of how your body moves, it's going to be a lot easier to injure yourself. So, building body awareness is really important. Things like joint articulations, pushing your joints through their ranges of motion, trying to increase their ranges of motion. That's going to really help because, then you're stronger in extended ranges of motion, helps prevent injury there. And other things like stretching, dynamic stretching, etc. These things are really going to help, prevent injury and also build up confidence that your body can be more resilient. And then the last thing is aerobic conditioning, which is just simply another thing about work capacity, but I like to keep it a little separate. But this one's quite simple, is where you just do some sort of exercise like biking or running if you can run well. I prefer biking because it's lower impact, and you want to do it for plus 10 minutes at about a 60 to 70% heart rate. And this is a pretty good way to just end a session and just build up some extra aerobic capacity, which is again going to help you, moving forward out of a GPP phase, because again, your body's going to have that aerobic conditioning to recover from the workouts, and also you're going to have that conditioning to do the workouts at a high intensity. And one last thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to general physical preparedness phase is what I call a GPP test. I know Westside uses this one. I added in pull-ups, so basically what it is you do how many push-ups can you do in a row, how long can you do a wall sit, and how long can you do a plank, and then how many pull-ups can you do in a row. And what I mean in a row, there is no pause. So as soon as you're doing push-ups and you need a half second or a second to rest, that's it. Just keep yourself honest. And because it's a good way to track progress through a GPP phase to see if you really are building up your general physical preparedness, building up that work capacity. So as an example, I did pretty much roughly an 8-week phase. So in week 3, I did myself a test and was able to do 46 push-ups in a row. I did a 2-minute and 10-second plank, wall sit, 3-minute plank, and then 17 pull-ups in a row. And by the time I got to week 8, when I tested again, I was able to do 70 push-ups in a row, 4-minute wall sit and blank, and then 30 pull-ups in a row. So it was quite a good increase in my work capacity, and it's a good way to keep yourself honest and make sure that your training is progressing. You don't want to be testing it every single week. You want to have at least about 4 weeks between tests, and it's a good way to also give yourself confidence that your training is working if you do improve on your GPP test. Anyway, I hope this video helps you, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. I'll try and get to them, or if I need to, I'll make a video response to them. But yeah, I'll hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next video. And make sure to like the video, and also subscribe to the channel if you're new.